those that you see are visitors to our monastery. They came here to worship, and now they are leaving.
Traditionally, the Byzantine monastic life is austere and simple. Prayer together, prayer alone, work, and in what little time remains, meals and sleep. The basic task of an Orthodox monk is to pray. All other activities are simply an extension of prayer, and this religious lifestyle has changed very little since it was first defined by Basil the Great in the 4th century. The monastery of Simonopetra, Simon's Rock, built by moving stone and mortar from the sea to a perch of mountainside far above it. The feat has been compared to the building of the pyramids. On a slope of hill with the olive trees nearby is the monastery of Grigoriou, or St. Gregory. Some monks choose to live alone as hermits in solitary cliffside cells. They get their food in baskets raised and lowered by pulleys, and the word karoulia, Greek for pulleys, is the name for their community. At the very mountaintop is Katunaikia, home to the monks of the House of Daniels, which houses artists and craftsmen. One of the monks, Father Gregory, describes its history.
This house was founded sometime in 1880. The monk who founded this house was called Daniel. He used to live in the Russian monastery of St. Panteleimon. However, he decided to become a monk and came here. After a while, a few others joined him, and they established the Brotherhood of Daniels.
Ήρθε στη λιμονή του Αγίου Παντελεήμονος, σήμερα που λέγεται το Ρωσικού. Αφού έκανε ένα διάστημα εκεί 10 έτη περίπου, ήρθε στη...
I was 15 years old when I first came to Athos. That was in 1947. I came here from Kavala. I decided to become a monk. I liked the spiritual atmosphere. I liked the Byzantine music, the love and respect with which monks treat each other. I was ordained a deacon when I was 23, and 7 years later I was ordained to the priesthood.
The House of Daniels, despite its emphasis on the arts, is no exception to the general rule of all monasteries, that it be self-sustaining. Thus it grows most of its own produce in terrace gardens surrounding the main house, overlooking the sea. The scarcity of water in this area of Athos would have defeated men of lesser ingenuity. The monks, however, seem to draw on a limitless reserve of optimism in combination with an inexhaustible supply of determination. Many of these mountaintop monastery gardens are irrigated by water from mountain streams fed through pipes laid for miles by hand. And as if that were not enough to test the strongest mind and back, the pipes first had to be hauled from the pier to the top of the mountain. Twice each year, these artist monks prepare plywood boards which ultimately become icons. Cut to size and covered with a cheesecloth fabric, the boards are coated with 6 layers of a heated glue-like composition. Between each coating, the icon board is sanded, cleaned, and dried in the sun. When the boards are thoroughly dry, their surfaces will be carefully buffed and polished in preparation for painting. This precise technique for the manufacture of icon boards has been followed step by step without the slightest deviation for centuries. Icon painting is considered a sacred task, It demands holiness and sanctification from the artist who first prepares himself by fasting and penance. Even the brushes, boards, and paints are consecrated before they may be used. Specific colors are mandatory because of their symbolism. Every detail is fixed by tradition and must conform to ecclesiastical requirements. Nothing is left to the artist's imagination. For icons are not considered works of men, but rather manifestations of the saints. And icons are central to the Eastern Orthodox faith. After entering an Orthodox church, a worshiper pays respect to the icon with a kiss, a bow, and the sign of the cross. It is believed that homage paid to the icon of a saint rises to that saint in heaven. An icon painter is not born, but made. Thus Demetrius, a 15-year-old novice, is tutored in the sacred art, beginning with line drawing. Even though he must wait 3 years to become a monk, he will later learn how to mix the paint with egg yolk. A chainsaw speeds the work of a woodcarver who turns out hundreds of wooden discs. Religious symbols are later carved into the discs, which are then used to stamp the bread for churches and religious communities. A neighbor, Father Gerasimos, known as a composer of hymns.
The way you go about composing a hymn or a service to a saint is first, I try to gather as much information as I can about the life and work of that particular saint. Then I withdraw into my office, pull the curtains, and try to concentrate my thoughts on the saint, and at the same time solicit the Lord's inspiration. I engage in interior prayers. When I believe I am ready, I take the pen in my hand and let it write.
Honored by the late Patriarch Athinagoras, Father Gerasimos also composed a series of hymns to the Virgin Mary, commissioned by Archbishop Iakovos, primate of North and South America. His hilltop home and creative workshop affords the privacy he requires for the composition of his sacred hymns.